Assisting landowners who've protected a large stretch of coastline around Cape Turnagain is a network of advisors and organisations, including Horizons Regional Council. They're tackling the important work of eradicating or controlling pest species and protecting rare and endangered native species.
We have a biodiversity commitment for our whole region and we're really passionate about that. So areas like Cape Turnagain are very special. There's not a lot of coastal area left like this, particularly on the east coast of North and South Islands. So this sort of habitat, it's fantastic. Host to so many different animals and plants that are very rare now because their habitat's being lost across the country. So this is part of our commitment to preserving some of that for our future generations. We've got some very rare and interesting species of plant. So we've got hybridising flax. It's a cross between Phormium tenax and Phormium cookeyanum. And that is unique in that it's germinating on the plant here. We've also got pingao, which is a sand-binding plant that's getting more and more rare each day. And we've also got the sand daphne or Pamelia. Well, for the pingao, it used to be very widespread around the coast of New Zealand, but since the European settlement, it's declined rapidly over that time. So with stock movement, introduced pests that all eat it, trample it, and also human activities, people driving on sand dunes being the biggest one. That's completely hammering its habitat. And for the Pamelia, it's actually a subspecies that occurs here, so this is it. This is its location for the country. The Pamelia villosa subspecies arenaria here is host to a moth that's very specific to it, and so that moth is only found in this area as well. So, and that's even more rare, so yeah, pretty exciting. By fencing this off, we are hoping to preserve its habitat first and foremost. So by excluding stock, that's huge. That goes a long way towards preserving the habitat and also just, I guess, getting people aware of how special this area is so that they maybe do not drive on the dunes or just are conscious of what they do when they're out in a coastal environment like this. We help fence off financially, so we make a financial contribution roughly in the vicinity of 50%, and we also look after the weed and pest control. So we've got possum control across the whole region now, and particularly weed control, that's the biggest thing for ongoing stuff. So things like Old Man's Beard, particularly in the Tararua district, but out here, Pampas. So yeah, we have to keep on top of those things to preserve the habitat.
The Pampas project had started with the Herrick family, so we've been able to continue the great work that they had started doing once we took over the farm. So that project is still a continuous progress, but from the results we've been seeing, it's been really good. We'd love to learn a little bit more about them, understanding their significance and the role they play in the environment. Obviously, funding's a huge thing with these projects, so wanting to be able to partner up with different government organisations to help fund these projects and get the good work done and the research, and the iwi's in full support of wanting to do those sort of things.
We started in 2012, and at that stage when you looked up there was just thousands of plants, and you would see thousands of plumes like this of the Pampas plant. The problem with the Pampas is that it grows much more quickly than the native plants, and so it's able to colonise those areas of bare that you can see up there. So therefore it outcompetes them and fills up the space really quickly, and then, you know, that old story where there's more and more seed around and then it, you know, spreads more and more, and so it had been there for quite some time, I think. Pampas generally comes from South America, and it has got these very upright plumes, quite white, and the leaf, one of the very easiest ways to tell is that the leaf it rips when you can grab it and you can just rip it, whereas the native toitoi, the plumes are much more droopy and much smaller, and the leaf, if you go to grab the leaf, there's no way that you can rip it. And the reason for that is the leaf on the toitoi has got a whole lot of ribs on it, whereas this has just got one rib, and it's quite easy to just break in half. Once we've controlled the Pampas, the native species tend to fill in that area quite quickly, although that's what the ongoing control is, going in and controlling any of the seedlings that are coming up or any bits that are still alive of the Pampas. so that the seedlings aren't taking over the area again, and the native species such as toi and the flax are able to take over that space. This area here is so very special. There's just hardly any of this sort of habitat left in the whole of New Zealand now, particularly these dunes and the very high cliffs and things as well. But all these back dunes, you know, in most of the areas around the country, we've flattened them out and built on them. So we can have a house right next to the beach. And so these back dunes that we're standing in, you know, these are absolutely precious. There's very little of it left.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.